Good afternoon, I'm Olivia Quay. News just in to coincide with the air vaccinated travel lane. Also from this coming Monday, November the 29th, Singapore and Malaysia will open a land VTL across the Causeway. For a start, almost 3,000 people will be able to cross the Causeway every day, quarantine-free. Travellers have to be citizens, permanent residents or long-term pass holders of the country they are entering. Well, this means that those coming into Singapore must be Singapore citizens, PRs or long-term pass holders. The same rules apply for Malaysians in Singapore who want to go home. Well, these travellers must be vaccinated and undergo pre-departure COVID-19 tests, and they're also required to travel on designated bus services, so you're not allowed to drive your own vehicle. With more is my colleague Kok Yufeng. Hi Yufeng. We know this VTL, it prioritizes citizens, PRs and long-term pass holders. Can you give us more clarity on that? Which groups stand to benefit from this land VTL?
Hi Olivia, thanks for having me. So because of the limited number of travellers that are allowed to cross the Causeway each day, what authorities are doing is they're trying to prioritize workers who are living in either Singapore or Malaysia, who haven't been back home to see their families in a long while, because the land border has been shut since March last year, so almost 20 months. So I think they want to do right now is to focus on getting reuniting workers or students who are living abroad to sort of meet their families when they can. So that's really the major group that will benefit from this opening of the VTL.
And so we know that there are already people who can travel back and forth via the periodic commuting arrangement. So Yufeng, how does this differ, or does it complement or work with this the PCA?
So the land VTL is a separate scheme from the PCA. So what the PCA does, it's a travel lane that allows workers to commute between Singapore and Malaysia, but with a stay notice or a quarantine period. The VTL is separate, so it's quarantine-free travel. So those on the PCA will be able to apply for the VTLs separately on their own accord, and that's how it will work. So there's no changes to the PCA, and the land VTL is just an additional option for workers wanting to go back home to Malaysia, or to come back to Singapore as well.
Well, Yufeng, you talked about the groups of people that will stand to benefit the most from this land VTL, at the very start at least. Are there plans to expand this land VTL to more people? Is there a timeline that you know
of? Well, there's no specific timeline, but I think the Malaysian and Singapore authorities are working to try to expand the scheme progressively to more travellers. So this includes general travellers as well, so short-term visitors, that sort of thing. But I know there's no clear timeline on when that will happen. Although there have been some reports in Malaysian media saying that that there are plans to increase it to maybe 5,000 in the first few weeks. But I think this is not very clear yet, and I think they're still working on discussions about what exactly the number will be and what the situation will be going forward. They're also looking to restore some travel through the second link in Tuas. But again, there's no real clear timeline on when this will happen, but something to look forward to at least.
Definitely. Well, Yufeng, I want to throw back a little bit to yesterday. We know that Singapore and Malaysia, they had a dry run of this land VTL across the Causeway. So, in preparation for this coming Monday when it officially opens, what do travellers need to take note of?
Yes, so they ran a dry run on Tuesday, so to sort out any of the kinks and to iron out details about how the VTL will work. So I think, from my knowledge at least, I think ICA is preparing segregated counters and automatic lanes for VTL travellers only. So it sort of separates the two groups of travellers and doesn't cause congestion at the checkpoints. I think the main things that travellers need to note is the requirements for applying and getting approved for the VTL. So you need to be fully vaccinated, and you need to have a vaccination cert that's recognized by the authorities from both sides. So that would be maybe having a vaccination cert on the Trace Together app or in the Malaysian version of the app as well. And then before traveling, I think there's need to be aware that they need to take a PCR test or an ART test that is professionally administered by a recognized clinic or hospital. So this is I think 3 days before departure. I think it's 2 days before departure. 3 days departure, however, they need to book tickets for the designated buses. So there are 64 buses that will run daily across the Causeway in both directions from 7:30 a.m. to 9:30 p.m. And this will be either by Transstar Travel in Singapore or by Causeway Link in Malaysia. So they need to book tickets at least 3 days before departure. And they also need to submit a SG arrival card via the IC website or through the app. So this will contain health declaration with their travel history as well. For those who are Singapore citizens or permanent residents traveling from Malaysia to Singapore, they don't need to apply for a pass, but long-term pass holders from Malaysia to Singapore need to apply for a travel pass on the Safe Travel website 3 days before departing. And again, as I mentioned, within 2 days before departure, they need to take a ART or PCR test that is professionally administered by a doctor or a clinic. Yeah.
All right, Yufeng,
that's the main stuff.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing all that information. Very useful indeed, especially if you are planning to use this land VTL from Monday. That was Kok Yufeng, journalist for the Straits Times. You can visit straitstimes.com for more on this development. I'm Olivia Quay. Take care, and I'll see you soon on The Big Story.